Hi YouTube, welcome to my channel. I am going to do a video today about how I lost my house, and this is a very tough video for me to make. I first want to say that I do these videos for myself. I do these videos for my daughters, and I do these videos for anyone who has experienced narcissistic abuse. And I'm going to really try to not get emotional, but it has been very difficult for me. First, let me say, most importantly, I am a survivor. I'm a survivor. Um, I always want to start with the fact that I woke up this morning and I am having another opportunity to live. So God wants me to do something. And I have to remember that even when there are myriads of people, many people that are going against me, and it may seem like I don't have any hope. The truth is, every time I open my eyes and wake up is another opportunity for me to realize that I do have a purpose and I do have a reason to be here. So that has been the reason why I try to do these videos. I am in Houston. We just got power in my neighborhood, electricity, because of the storm, the Hurricane Beryl that happened. I believe it was on Monday. And I actually was doing a YouTube video, I think, that same day when the storm was starting. So if you look at, like, go to my channel and look at my YouTube video, I think I'm wearing yellow on that one. But you can see I was like, oh, it's a storm going on out there. So that was the last time that I had electricity. And today is Monday, so it's been a full 7 days. I got electricity actually on Sunday. No, I take that back. It was Saturday night. So thank God for electricity. I survived. But back to what I wanted to discuss with the video, and that is how I have survived losing my house to my narcissistic husband and the realtor who I thought was my friend, who I thought was going to actually give us the best deal on the sale of the house. That's why I submitted her name. So I'm going to go through, this is one thing that my first lawyer, who was a friend of mine from high school, told me to do, which I didn't even, like, I'm like talking about stuff a lot. And, you know, I tried to, like, say to myself, okay, I have to follow somebody's advice. And the advice that she gave me was to put everything in an email or a text message, so that way it can be reviewed in court, or she can have a log of what was discussed. And so now I realize she's so right, because I have emails from this realtor, and there is a record of every conversation, and that is why it's important to have it in writing. My dad used to always say, put it in writing, or if you have a contract or anything like that, then that's what's going to be held up in court, not something that you said to someone. So anyway, let's get to the story. This is the story of how my husband, we're still not divorced, and the realtor basically left me out of the sale of the house. So let's start from the very beginning. When I first met this realtor, Patty, I met her in 2018. And we were looking, well, actually, I was looking for a house because I wanted to get out of the house that I was in. And I wanted a house with a pool. That was the number one thing for me, because I needed to do aqua aerobics, and I needed to have a place where I could relax in the heat. So for me, looking online and going on Zillow and going on, online and looking at different houses was just something I did every night, like every day before I went to bed, or, whenever I would just go on Zillow. And open houses was my thing that I like to do. And my husband hated it. So, I had a plan every weekend. I'm going to go to open house. I'm going to look online and see what's available. So I went to this open house and I met this realtor. And I liked her a lot. In fact, our birthdays were around the same time. So I was just like, okay, um, I'm going to use her as my realtor. So I basically just looked at a couple houses that she had listed. She never said, here's some houses, come meet me here. It was always me contacting her and saying, I would like to go look at this house. This is 2018. And so, I just need a realtor to go with me to look at houses, and she seemed cool. So let's, do it. So we probably looked at about 3 houses together. And I think she figured out that I was not ready to buy a house at that time. So she started sending her associate, who was a younger guy, to meet me. And I was like, okay, so basically she's busy. So when it got to the time where I needed to buy a house, or I actually was going to sell my house, and we had another house that I had found, I said, okay, all I need to do is get a realtor who's going to be good enough to get me a good price on this house. I had her meet Robert, my husband, and he started making jokes about her because she had plastic surgery, calling her Daffy Duck and all this stuff. And that's something that a narcissist does. They like to make fun of people. And so I didn't take him too seriously, but I just was like, okay, if he's not going to agree to her being the realtor, then we need to go ahead and find someone else. We found someone else. Did not get a good price on my house. Was unhappy with that team, and thought to myself, I really wish I had stuck with Patty and had stuck with this other realtor. So I went ahead and went to one of her open houses, and this was like 2 years after I met her. And I apologized for not using her to do my sale and my purchase of the house that we had. And I said, I see your flyers all around the neighborhood. I mean, your advertisement, because she'll have these flags that had her name when she had an open house. And I look up on Zillow and Sarah, and I was like, the next time I have the opportunity to use you, I'm going to use you because I know that you really are passionate about what you're doing. So I promised her that. I followed her also on Instagram and on Facebook and stuff. And I started to think about something else that I could do. And I was thinking of doing real estate a long time ago, even like 15 years before that. So I thought maybe I'll do real estate with her. Well, I ended up not really getting any support from her in that regard. So I thought, okay, this is fine. I'll just focus on what I have been doing, which was basically reselling on Poshmark. And when you're in a narcissistic relationship and he's controlling the money, that is the worst part, I think. I mean, the physical abuse, the cheating, his family and his exes and baby mama drama, all that stuff was difficult to deal with. But not being able to have money and him having money is the worst part for me. And when I say him having money, I mean he could spend money on anything he wanted to. And I think with the last sale of our house, I really was upset because I kept thinking, I can't make a decision about anything. So that was just why can't I, find a way to get respect in this marriage financially? So what I did was I decided I was going to make my reselling business a full-fledged brick and mortar business. And so I contacted Patty, this realtor Patty, and I said, I want to find a place where I could have my brick and mortar business. And she agreed to meet with me at a couple locations I gave her information about. She didn't give me any information about anything. I just said, I want to just get you to give me a tour. And, so she did. And that was okay, maybe this is going to be my spot where I'm going to have my business and it's going to work out. But she gives me some information about, how to get the business as far as the contract and all that kind of stuff. I submitted it to my husband. He was like, no one's going to buy used um, clothing, which I'm like, well, there's this business called Goodwill. And if anybody knows me or recognizes me, it may be because I am on another channel, Gigi Alive, Gigi Alive. And on that channel, I actually am talking about my reselling business. And I began doing formal gowns, and I was doing bridal wear in 2019 or 2020. No, it was 2019, yeah. And I started doing really good at reselling them. And so I thought, okay, this is the kind of business I want. I want a business where people can come in and get formal wear or special occasion gowns, and it could be an upscale type place, like an upscale type of resale for formal gowns. So my business plan, I thought, was pretty solid. He asked me to make a business plan. He asked me to, make sure it had all the financial points on there, which I did. And also around that time, we'd had a big argument, and I went to the bank. And when I went to the bank, I had never gone to the bank to get money before. I'd never gone to the bank to start any kind of account that was separated from my husband. So I don't know why I did it, but I just said, I'm going to ask for all of my accounts. So they gave me, well, actually, he asked me, how do you want all of your account information, all your statements? I said, yeah. And so he gave me all the statements that were connected to me. And I noticed that there was I think it was $180,000 in this account. And I had $20 in the account that me and my husband shared. And I was like, I'm trying to start a business because I really want to have some money, have some financial independence. And yet he has this much money in one account. And I remember telling my girlfriend, and she was like, girl, this is one of my best friends. She was like, go in there and take half that money right now before you even think about anything else. Just do it. And I was like, that will be a huge argument. I'm not going to do that. Like, I realized that this is something that he's trying to do, which is keep money from me. So now I see it. So basically, when I was trying to get the business set up, I thought, I'm just going to ask him for like $25,000 for him to co-sign on the business with me. And that should get the money I need to get my brick and mortar leasing arrangement set up. $25,000 is not a lot compared to how much we had in savings, compared to how much there was in the bank account that I saw. So anyway, make a long story short, when Patty sent me all this information, all of these documents, I gave it to my husband and I said, I need you to fill out these documents talking about, the finances that we have and all this. And he had a humongous, like, he went off into this rage about how I was trying to take money from him, and how I had no right to do this, and how basically this is a business that's going to fail. And I had built a website, I had all this inventory, I had like about 600 gowns and special occasion inventory, from shoes, purses, wedding gowns. And how he could tell me this after a year of me planning this, that I can't get $25,000 for an investment in our future, and that this is something that I think is a solid business. And the realtor had told me she thought it was a great plan. She thought it was a good idea. And I don't know if she's, blowing smoke up my ass, but I mean, I thought it was a good thing. And I'm thinking this is something that I can do and continue being a stay-at-home mom. And he was not hearing it. He was screaming and hollering about how I was trying to take money out of his pockets and out of the bank account. I had not taken any money. I just wanted him to give me permission to take $25,000 and put towards the business. And actually, I really needed more than that. I really would have loved to have 50,000, but I just was asking for the least amount. So I was going to do it on my own without, discussing that anymore with him. And I had a meeting with the realtor. And so I said to her, look, I have the money in this account, even though, and she said, well, it's not going to work unless you can get him to co-sign, because this is a business deal, and he's got to be able to agree with it because he's the one who makes all the money. So I was pretty heartbroken. And I remember I was I mean, I think I was crying. So I remember she took me out to get some food, and I said, I've got to get a divorce. It's the only way I'm going to be able to get the money I need. And I've done all this work on this business, and I really want to just prove that I can do it. Not just for myself, but for my daughters, to prove I've done all this work. I've collected all this inventory. I've worked online. I've built a website. I've got a business plan. I did all these things to prove to him that I am valuable, but he does not see it. And I remember she started telling me about her story, and I'm crying about it. And we're sitting there at a restaurant, and I go ahead to get my card out and pay for. I think I got some nachos or something like that, and I think she had a coffee, and I had a margarita. So I gave the waitress my card. The waitress comes back and tells me my card's been declined. And this has happened so many times. Whenever we would have an argument, he would just, I don't know if he would take the money out of my account, but my debit card would not work. So I knew that's what happened. So Patty went ahead and paid for my nachos and my drink and her coffee. I think it probably was like $30. But I felt indebted to her at that moment. Like, here she is listening to me like she's a friend for an hour, and I thought I was going to give her a good deal with this business, and now she's paying for my for my drink and my nachos. So I felt pretty crappy, and I didn't talk to her again until I decided to have her come over and appraise the house and meet with Robert, because I thought, okay, if we sell the house, because he said after, a couple of years we could sell the house, maybe then she'll see that I'm serious about working with her. So she did an appraisal on the house, I believe. Can't remember if it was 2020, I think it was, because this was around COVID time. Anyway, basically, I had her paperwork and everything, and didn't talk to her again until recently. When I say recently, I mean 2023. No, 2024. 2024. After a physical altercation with my husband, I had to leave the house because I didn't feel safe there when he got back from being in jail. So I went ahead and stayed at my son's house and filed for divorce that next month. And after I filed for divorce, I had a mediation in December of 2023. And like, I filed for divorce in November, had a mediation in December 2023. And in the mediation, there were 3 things that needed to happen that didn't happen, that I was very disappointed in. I needed to get my medication because I had atrial fibrillation, and I had a lot of other heart issues, and I had lupus, and I needed to make sure I had my medication that was being delivered to the house. So that was something I wanted to get. I also wanted custody of my daughter, and I wanted him to continue paying for her private or Catholic school. And then I needed to get some things from the house, my furniture, my inventory that was in the garage and that was in my closet, so that way I could set up in a new location, a new home for myself. So in the temporary orders, I made sure that I had certain things that I was requesting from the house. Certain things meaning furniture, personal items, of course my medications, of course my inventory, and things like that. So I made sure that was a part of the temporary orders. So after the temporary orders were done, I did not get custody of my daughter. She chose to stay with her dad, which was, I think that was at that point the hardest thing. Like, take everything, I don't care, but I really wanted my daughter to want to be with me. And I wanted my daughter to, both my daughters actually, to really have a relationship. One was in her 20s and one was 15 at the time. Well, I didn't get that. So at that point, I was really depressed and I went into a lupus flare. And I was really sick, and I did my medication once again. My husband did not get my medication to me. And I contacted Patty, the realtor, and I said to her, after I was coming out of my lupus flare, I've just filed for divorce and I have temporary orders. And in those temporary orders, it states that I can sell the house. I have to submit 3 realtors. I said, I'm going to put your name down and 2 other friends of my son's, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you're interested in doing this with me, I have to find a house to lease, and I'm sick, so please help me find a house to lease, because in order for me to even do that, to get my furniture, and it wasn't a lot of furniture because, like I said, my house was like 4,000 something square feet, and all I needed was just some things for me to move into a temporary residence. So it wasn't a lot of stuff I needed to get, but I needed to make sure that I would have her find me a location for me to live. Before we did anything else, I needed that to happen. So that was in January 2024 when I reached out to her. So I'm sick. I didn't get any, houses for lease that she sent me or anything. So I was like, okay, I need to reach out to her. So I sent her some listings. And if you look on my email, you can see the listings that I sent. This is me to her. You can see I sent her all these different listings from Zillow, from different websites, interested in her trying to show me a location. I found this gigantic home that I thought I could use this as a business. It could be my business location, and it could also be a place for me to live. I was so excited about it, and I asked her to give me a tour of it. And she sent her associate again, so he gave me a tour of it. And I just kept thinking to myself, okay, this could be my saving grace. This particular place was, I want to say it was $5,000 a month. But if I had rented a location for my business and I also was renting a house, it would probably be $10,000 a month or more that I'd be spending. So I'm thinking, okay, this is going to be, kill a bird with 2 stones. And I will be actually having a place where I could have all my inventory and make it a store slash home. So that was the plan. And I got approved for it, but I had to put down a large. She called me and she said, you're approved, but you have to put down a large amount of money because your credit isn't good. Well, my husband stopped paying my credit cards and didn't give me any money for like a year, maybe 2 years. And so the money that I would pay on my credit cards was not the whole amount. So I did have a bad credit situation, and I was paying my lawyer fee trying to make sure that I would get that paid, but that wasn't working out. So I had to release my lawyer and hold on to the little bit of money I had so I could give them a big down payment for a location for me to have my business and to have my home. So that's what I was thinking when I was trying to get get this house. So it didn't work out, and I was very disappointed about that. And so now we are in February. Now, according to temporary orders, it said that I had to have the house, or the realtor would have to have the house listed by March 1st. I made sure I put that in there because I didn't want to dilly and dally around about getting the house listed. So March 1st was the date that I wanted to have the house listed, and that was in the temporary orders. So when she did not find me a house to lease, and she did not give me any, information about what I could do about trying to get another location to lease or anything. I pretty much decided, okay, I got to leave her alone and focus on another realtor. And my aunt passed away, so I had to go to Chicago. And when I got back from Chicago, I had to get another attorney. I got another attorney, and I realized I need to get my stuff from my home, but I still have not had a place to live. So I found another realtor, and the other realtor, I gave listings as well to come and look at a house. And I finally got a house, and that was after March. So the date March 1st, listing the house did not happen. So I was gonna like actually give the sale for the purchase of I'm sorry, for the sale of my house to another realtor, and to the realtor who I had found. But then in April, I get a message around it's around Easter. I get a message that I have to come and get all my stuff out of the house so they can list the house for sale. And I'm thinking, list the house for sale? With what realtor? Because I had not had a conversation with Patty, this realtor. I had not had any paperwork sent to me about the sale of the house. No email, nothing. I had been sending her all these emails. But I had not gotten a response from her. And so I was like, I cannot believe that they're going to go ahead and do this without me. So I remember calling her and talking to her before that, before I got the email. And I remember her saying to me that my husband had a mess all around the house. And this is before, you know, I had gotten any information about anything about my house. So I'm thinking, okay, the house is a mess. So basically she said she was going to not be able to list it for more than 500 and something thousand. I thought, well, if there's a 5 in front of that number, that's wrong, because it needs to be a 6 in front of that number. Even if there are some things that need to be repaired, we can talk about that. But that's when we sit down and we have that discussion about the contract of the house, which did not happen. There was never a meeting talking about the contract of the house. There was never a meeting talking about the sale of the house. There was never a meeting talking about how to stage the house, how to prepare the house for sale. There was nothing that we had with this realtor. Nothing at all. So the fact that I'm told I need to come and get my belongings in April to sell the house. Number one, you can sell a house with someone's belongings in the house. Why she said that didn't make any sense. So when I got to the house, and there's a video, if you look at my videos, you can see that I got to the house and literally the house was empty. Like, when I say empty, I'm not talking, I mean, there was some trash, and there was some clothes in the, there was some clothes in the garage for my Poshmark business. A lot of damaged items in the garage and trash bags. There was some of the boutique furniture for my shop that I had, some chairs and things like that I had for my boutique. There was definitely clothes in the closet, but everything else, I had 3 living room sets that were gone. I had dining room table I requested and chairs that were gone. I had breakfast nook and chairs that were gone. I had all my china, all my silverware, all the things that I cherished as a woman, cooking appliances, all those things gone. And the only thing that was really left that my brother had said is valuable is some home theater equipment. So I said, okay. My brother said, do you want me to, because we were tired. I had cleaned out almost everything I could get out of the house, from the garage, and it was hot, and I was starting to feel sick. And my brother said, go ahead and get this home theater stuff. Is this something that you need to keep in the house to sell the house? And I said, no one has discussed anything about selling the house with any kind of theater equipment. So if that's going to be something that I can have that is valuable, take it. So he took down the theater equipment and brought it to my new place. Very grateful that I did find a new place, by the way. It's not like fancy or anything, but it is just what I needed. But it didn't have a home theater, so I was just going to make a room into a spot where my daughters and I could watch movies. So that's why I got that home theater equipment. It wasn't even that expensive. It wasn't like the newest, latest thing. It was kind of an older home theater set. I'd probably say about 10, 15 years old. So, and also he got 2 TVs that were still on the wall. So that was like 3 things. We had 12 TVs total in the house. So the 3 TVs and home theater equipment compared to everything that I lost was not a lot. So anyway, I then get an email from my new attorney saying that everything was taken without their approval. I stole home theater equipment. So, well, how can I steal something? We have not done discovery of assets. We have not done a division of property. Like, how could I steal something when they told me to get the stuff from the house and the house is empty? And so I'm taking my own home theater equipment and my own television. Like, does that make any sense to anyone? Like, really? So I pretty much was like, they can say whatever they want to say. At this point, I lost my daughters. I lost everything in my house. And the fact that my husband had moved and did not even tell me that he moved, that was a shock because I didn't even know that he had moved from the house. So when I went there and I saw the house was empty, I was like, what? The house is empty. So I then went into a severe attack of diverticulitis and I was hospitalized. And I was really sick. Only good news is I lost like 25 pounds, but I couldn't eat anything. I was in the hospital on morphine, IV, and IV antibiotics for like, I think it was almost a week and a half. And then I went home with home health care. And also I was on telemetry, which is, with my heart, because I have always had these heart problems. So they were watching my heart and I was having really severe premature ventricular contractions, which are basically when your heart is in stress, it starts to have this arrhythmia that can turn into a ventricular tachycardia, which can turn into ventricular fibrillation, which can kill you. So I had been having like consistent, like PVCs are the term for the arrhythmia. And then I was having ventricular tachycardia. So I had a heart monitor on. I have one on now, in fact. It's a CAM heart monitor, which I love because it gets every rhythm that's irregular. So, okay, back to my story. So basically, I'm in the hospital. I get this information about how I stole stuff from the house and that they want me to pay $6,000 for the items that were taken from the house. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad I have a video because I took a video of what was left in the house so they could see. So anyway, now we're getting to, that was April, and I went on short-term disability from work, and then May happens, and I had to go to court May 30th. And the court was for me to sign the paperwork. Wait. Let me back up 1 second. My daughter calls me when I'm at home getting physical therapy and tells me that I have to sign the paperwork. Dad wants me to sign the paperwork to sell the house. I'm like, the house? I didn't even know the house was listed. Like, what? How did the house get listed? I have no paperwork to sell it. What is he talking about? No one sent me anything. So then they asked me for my email address. I give them my email address, which I don't know why they didn't have that. But anyway, I give them my email address and it says the sale of the property is going to be listed and under this realtor. And I'm like, this is the same realtor who literally has not discussed anything with me and is now selling my house. Like, this doesn't make any sense. So I told my daughter to stay out of it, and I told my attorney, and my attorney was like, well, we'll talk about that in court. No, did not like that answer at all. I needed someone to fight for me. I was really sick, and I needed someone to fight for me. So I told that realtor that attorney, I did not want that realtor to represent me for this sale of the property. Like, this is what I need. I need this realtor to not be listed because she has not worked with me. And he was getting, like, are you going to go back and live in the house? What do you want to do? And I was like, he's not understanding. There's nothing in the house. The house is empty. I have another place I'm living. What is he asking? Am I going to go back and live in the house? Like, what is he talking about? So I went ahead and fired that attorney. And May 30th, I go to court by myself with a heart monitor on, with a walker, because I have to use a walker because I basically am a fall risk because I keep falling, having ventricular tachycardia, arrhythmias, and passing out with high blood pressure. So I'm at the courthouse with my father and I pass out, which I have another video. I'm going to talk about that. I pass out in court. And luckily, I had this heart monitor on that recorded everything that happened, which showed that I did have ventricular tachycardia and it showed that my heart was not stable. So I was admitted into the hospital. They actually had ambulance come, take me to the hospital. And I stayed in the hospital, I think, about a week. And they realized that I need to have this heart surgery. So I had the heart surgery done June 13th. And then I go back to court. Well, actually, they wanted me to have mediation on June 18th. So I had my heart surgery June 13th. June 18th, I'm in mediation on Zoom, on bed rest, with a blood pressure monitor on, and my home health nurse checking my blood pressure. And my blood pressure was 160 over 115. So I'm going through all that while I'm in mediation, and I'm telling them I'm not going to sell the house with that realtor. That is not going to happen because that realtor did not work with me. And I think the biggest thing was I had been left out of the sale of the house. That is what bothered me the most. It wasn't the fact that she was selling it for under what it was worth. It wasn't the fact that she was even on the sale. It was the fact that she literally did not discuss anything in writing, getting a contract with me, sitting down with me. There was nothing except for a couple conversations. And she did not even do the least thing that I asked her to do, was to try to help me get a house for lease before she could even try to look at my house. It's like all these things were like why I did not want to work with this realtor, why I did not want her to get a commission. But they were not hearing that. All they were hearing was I was not signing the paperwork. So I went back to court and I said the same thing. I have high blood pressure and mediation. I told them I'm not going to sign the paperwork for this realtor to get a commission on this house. I'm not going to do it because she did not work with me at all. And she only worked with my husband. I've been sick in the hospital, and I would have never agreed to staging the house. I would never agree to having my husband moved out of the house. Oh, because I got an email from my lawyer saying that she literally told my husband to move out of the house, empty the house, or she could not list the house. So I didn't even know that. But the fact that she told my husband to move is why he took all my stuff. I guess. I don't know. I mean, there was no division of property or discovery, so that should never have happened. And she can't tell my husband that she can't list the house without it being empty. And that she had to stage the house. She didn't have to stage the house. And even if she did need to stage the house, this is stuff that she needed to discuss with me. And it was not discussed with me. So this is why I did not want her to get a commission. Why pay someone who literally does not include you on the sale of the biggest property that you have in division of property for this divorce? Like, why would I ever give a commission to someone who does not give me any paperwork, no contract, nothing? So I said this in court. I said, I just got out of having heart surgery. I have not had any communication. There's nothing in this evidence that shows that this realtor has given me any paperwork at all about the sale of my house. And because of that, I do not want her to get a commission. So if there's anybody else who is not associated to her that wants to sell my house, even for this low price, wants to, do this, then that's fine. He can give me another realtor. I don't care. But I do not want her to get a commission. I made it very clear. And I looked at my blood pressure monitor, which was supposed to go off because it has a schedule where it goes off every 10 minutes. And it said it was, I think, 166 over 118. And I was like, I cannot be dealing with this anymore. So if, the judge allows me, the judge said you can leave, but, we'll have to email you with our decision. Okay. Now, before I tell you the decision that was made, the realtor got on the stand and lied in court, saying that my husband and I hired her, which if you hire someone, there's a contract. There's a contract that is signed by both parties. So I did not hire her. And she also said that we looked at a bunch of houses together. We did not. I contacted her and I looked at some houses with her years before this happened. So that was not true. She also said that I contacted her around the holidays about selling my house the year before, which was not true. I just filed for divorce in November of that year. So there was no way that could be true. And then she also did not have any documentation at all and said that I had stopped talking to her. Well, I stopped talking to her, but yet I have all these documentations of emails that I sent to her. There's probably about 25 emails I sent to her asking her in January, it says, in January, about trying to get, the first time I reached out to her was December 2023. So, and that was like, how in the heck? If I'm reaching out to you then, and then about 30 emails later, the next email I got from her about my house was on, so many that I sent her. Oh, the next email I got from her, July 3rd. July 3rd. I mean, I don't know. But when you have sent, doesn't that show you everything that was sent? Oh, I'm sorry, I take that back. That's not true. I found another one. I did send out an email to her, and I told her in the email that I did not want her to represent me because she was not discussing things with me. So I did say that in an email. But she ignored that, I guess, because she went ahead and worked with my husband. And that was in May, I believe. And January 25th, before that, was the first time that I had gotten any kind of email from her before that. So anyway, emails are very important. Thank you very much to my first attorney for reminding me to always put things in email. So I have all the documentation to show that she did not communicate with me. And the fact that she said that I stopped communicating with her was because I told her that I did not want her to get a commission for this house because she did not do anything to discuss anything with me about the sale of my house. There's no documentation of it. There's no proof of it. But I did get a message on July 3rd that said that the court has stated that I must sign the paperwork to sell my house with Patricia as my realtor. So she got the commission, and I signed the paperwork because I didn't want to be in contempt of court. So with all that being said, long story short is, when you have temporary orders, number one, don't sign anything at all. If you have questions or doubts about the temporary orders, do not sign them because you cannot unsign them. Do not agree to anything that a lawyer is pressuring you to do. In mediation as well, do not agree. And the truth is, trying to do mediation with a narcissist is literally almost impossible. Like truly. Trying to do mediation with a narcissist or co-parent, because they're going to lie. That is the main thing that bothered me the most, is that I talked to this realtor about my situation with my husband. I shared intimate things about our relationship, and I told her that I was very, very despondent about leaving him, about going through this process. I was very afraid about going through this process. Why do I make these videos? I make these videos to remind other people, and also my daughters and myself even, that this is something that actually really happened. Like, it's like a time capsule to say, this should have never happened. My story is my truth. But when you look at the documentation, when you look at all of these emails, and you see that it's like literally the emails do not lie. The text messages I sent do not lie. And that is the most important thing I can say to people is document, document, document. Like take the time to really document stuff. And it's almost like your own personal diary. I do have to say one more thing before I end this video. I do not think that this realtor or the judge or even my husband's attorney understood the full aspect of what I was going through. I don't understand how someone could be that like the fact that I was even in mediation a couple of days after having heart surgery, the fact that I was even at the courthouse like 2 weeks after heart surgery, all of these things are like shocking to people. Like, how could it be that I'm forced to sign paperwork when I'm on medication that says I can't work, can't drive, can't do all these things, and I just am recovering from heart surgery? Today, I have to go and have a nuclear stress test done. I am wearing a heart monitor right now, which is like recording everything. My blood pressure has to be monitored regularly, and I have a ton of medication that I'm still trying to get off. So the only good saving thing about all this, that my therapy and also understanding narcissism, is really like, okay, I get it. Like, the truth is, I am thankful to this realtor. I am thankful to the system. And when I say system, I mean the court system. I'm thankful to even that attorney. And I'm even thankful to my husband, because thank you very much for showing me who you are. It's kind of like Maya Angelou says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. You don't need to have a million people telling you. So I don't need to like put them on blast and be like, this is who this realtor is. If you guys want to look into my information, everything is public record. The house I had, you can look it up. You can look up me, check me out on my other channel. People know who I am. Like, I know who I am. And so when people show you who they are, believe them. Thank you for hearing my story. It's pretty long. I'm sorry, but I have to like go through bits and pieces of it to help you understand. So if you have learned anything from my story, give me a thumbs up. If it has helped you in any way, give me a subscription, share my video, and I'm going to try to make more videos explaining more about what I've been going through with this narcissistic divorce. But I just really hope that more people could be aware. Remember, the narcissist does not care about you. The one thing that was kind of funny that I look back and I think, during this time I'm in the courtroom, I'm actually defending myself while I'm, got high blood pressure and I've just had heart surgery. And I can't even think straight because I can't believe that I have no attorney to help me. And I have my husband on the stand lying about not having money, about he quit his job, all these things. He's got a master's degree, but he doesn't have any money. And I know he has money. I know he contracts, all this stuff. He has the contracting. He does so many different things. So I'm just sitting there listening to him lie, and then listening to this realtor lie, and then hearing the attorney wants me to pay for the legal fees. The legal fees out of the proceeds of what I would get from the house. Wow. I thought to myself, I can't even afford to pay for an attorney, but I'm supposed to pay for legal fees. I've been a stay-at-home mom for like 25 years, trying to run little side hustles to make some extra money. And this is the kind of treatment I get. It was kind of funny listening to them. And then the funny thing is, the judge said, well, do you want to cross-examine the witness, your husband? And I'm like, asking a person who doesn't like profess to do anything to believe in God, who's on oath, and he's going to tell me the truth. He's going to lie. This is exactly why I don't want to be in this marriage, because he's going to lie. So why would I want to ask him any question? There's no question to ask a liar. Like, this is the truth. So it was kind of funny in that way. Like, literally, my blood pressure started to drop right after I got into the car and I left the situation. So it was like, okay, this is causing me severe stress. So that is my story. It's a long one, but it's continuing. So I've got to get to my nuclear stress test. I've got to go and find out if I can get back to taking care of myself at work and doing my job and focus on making some money so I can hire an attorney so I can try to fight this, because you got to fight it with an attorney. You can't do it by yourself, and you can't do it with health issues. And the court and people do not care. So just remember, that's the definition of narcissism, is they do not care. And it's proven. Thank you so much for hearing my story. God bless y'all. And remember, this is survival time. Okay? Survival time. We can do this. I can do this. And I say this to myself as I say it to you. Thanks so much.